Alright, awkward 5 seconds of silence starting now. Alright, everyone, welcome back to the VFL News Podcast. I know it has been a while. Apologies for that. I'm back with the sexy scouts, Dagnaldinho, and the man, the myth, the legend, Gringo himself. How you boys doing?
I'd prefer your intro than mine.
I tried to get the plug in for you. I know you appreciate that. All love out to you. So we'll be looking at all of the title deciding matches over this weekend. Any competition that's still up for grabs, we will go over that on the first half of the podcast. Also, we'll look at some of the Champions League draws, the winners and losers there, and boy, do we have some losers in that. So let's start off. Let's look at the Premier League. Rochdale on 40 points, Middlesbrough on 39, Manchester United 37, Liverpool on 35. Rochdale, on their 40 points, have only dropped points twice this season. They drew once to Plymouth Argyle 2-2, and they actually took a 2-1 loss to Chelsea. Now, their run-in is a lot harder than Middlesbrough. Theirs is Manchester City, Leeds United, and then they finish off Manchester United and Liverpool. So two of the top teams on the back end of their final schedule, compared to Middlesbrough, was facing Tottenham Hotspur, Chelsea, Blackburn, and Plymouth Argyle. So I mean, who do we think actually comes out on top of this? Because I mean, Liverpool are absolutely still in reach. They're 5 points off. Manchester United even more so, and Borough a point off. I mean, do Rochdale have what it takes to close this one out and go back to back?
Probably. I mean, they won the league last season, and it was a very similar situation where they had like big teams to play in like the kind of final couple of days. But yeah. I don't know. It's, they were in a slump this past game week that's gone to week 3. Where even the manager was saying that they couldn't even buy a win. They said they lost in the cup on the same week to Southend, who are in League One as well. So like they just had a very bad start to the week.
I actually predicted Rochdale to, because they won it last season, I predicted them to defend it. But I just feel the games they've got, they're bound to slip up in at least one. And I don't see Middlesbrough slip up.
Yeah, I don't even think. I think neither will win. I think Manchester United will win it, if I'm being honest. I think when you look at the final 4, the fact that Rochdale have got 3 games in there, I think they're a good team, but I reckon they'll draw at least one of those, or they'll drop points at least one of those. Middlesbrough have got to play Plymouth. Plymouth are just like the team at the minute that is upsetting every single title racing team's challenge. Like Plymouth are the reason why Liverpool had a massive breakdown and ended up dropping points. So I mean, you go from one day key pass Ben, American Ben, going on about how just being fun and happy in the manager's chat, to then playing Plymouth Argyle, playing Plymouth Bus, dropping points. Then that they drop points in that game. The Heads go, they drop points in the second game, and then you've got Ben turning into the American hat and complaining about how crap the game is for an hour. So
for United to take it, they are going to need Rochdale to drop points in more than 2 games, are they? Yeah, because they've got the goal difference, haven't they?
Yeah, well, it depends. It depends if United have. I don't know what United's running is. I know United, I think, have got one hard game.
United have Leeds, Tottenham, then they play Rochdale at the 8 p.m. on Saturday, and then they play Chelsea for their final game. So they do control their own destiny to a point.
See, I didn't even know about the Chelsea game. That's another hard game. Chelsea hold the keys in terms of what they do in the final week. And I'll be interested to see the manager chat's reaction as well to what Liverpool are doing, because I remember last season, was it last season or the season before? It was either season 36 or season 35, and Buzzkid was in a similar situation to this, where Chelsea were on the brink of winning the Prem, and then teams that had already lost or had already kind of like conceded that they weren't winning the Prem had kind of given up, and Buzzkid was very kind of like what's the word? Just very kind of hostile about that in the chat towards managers who are doing that. And I'm interested to see if he's going to be the same towards Liverpool, because as soon as Liverpool dropped 2 points, and as soon as the title was pretty much officially gone, because I can't see them making up a 5-point gap. I don't know about you guys, but I just can't. I swear over like the weekend they released people and they're just kind of sacking off the last weekend. So I'm interested to know if people like Buzz or if people like, Middlesbrough and that in the chat are going to be a bit pissed off with that. But then again, that is part of the game. People do that when you lose and you aren't winning. People will sulk. So I don't know, But yeah,
if I genuinely have to pick one, I do see Middlesbrough doing it. I think Rochdale they're gonna drop points in more than 2 games, and I don't think Middlesbrough will drop.
Well, so at the start of the season, I wouldn't have had Rochdale to defend, and I wouldn't have had Middlesbrough. If I'm being honest, I would have expected at the start of the season. My prediction was that Middlesbrough will last 2 weeks and they'll implode because they'll be pissed off.
I think a lot of people thought that.
Well, it's still going to be funny because if Middlesbrough win the cup, we can't even award the FA Cup out because they just don't do stats. So that's going to be hilarious. But my prediction at the beginning of the season was Man United to win. And then it would have been, I can't lie to you and say it would have been Liverpool because I had Liverpool in 4th. I thought Liverpool coming from Spain, they'd struggle. So I'm kind of not surprised where they are. But I would have probably said, who would I say? I would have said Manchester United, Chelsea, Rochdale, Liverpool, and then I don't know, a toss-up of Man City, Oxford forever for 5th because you always knew Man City were doing a kind of like a jokey kind of season where they're playing skinny and cam and all that stuff. Yeah. So, but even when they're joking around, they're still good because they've done it before at Sunderland and whatnot. But yeah, that's besides the point.
Well, you brought up the goal differential there. Rochdale on plus 33, Middlesbrough 27, United 25, and Liverpool at 35. So Middlesbrough would have to make up some ground on that end if it does come down to it. Rochdale definitely letting in a few more goals this season than they did last season, that's for sure.
I think it's a lot tougher this season, the Prem. It's a lot tougher.
Yeah, it's gone from maybe second or third toughest to immediately the hardest league out there.
No, it was still toughest last season. No one can tell me that there was a tougher league.
Yeah, I'd still say it was toughest last season.
All right, well maybe I'm just wrong.
Yes, yes you are.
Let's head over to France. Where we have Monaco on 43 points. We'll get to Monaco later. And Metz on 41. Can we just start off on asking how on earth Metz are able to compete at this high of a level every season?
So the team that they have is just stacked. So we talk about Metz every season. They enter the Champions League including this season. They've entered the Champions League the last 3 seasons now as favourites every time. They've reached the semi-final, the final, and then they'll probably reach, looking at the tree and how it's all kind of lined up, they'll probably reach the final if they can get past Man United, because that's who I think will get, I'm a Man United fanboy. I think Man United will replay them in the semis, so it depends who goes through in that one. But they're such a good team. In terms of the stuff like in Ligue 1, I don't think they care too much because they know, and I think they know that loyalty switching after this season anyway. So even if they win the league, they know that they've been there, defended it. So it's not like they can't leave if they win the league. So they'll probably try and go out on a high. If not, then they'll lose it to Monaco, but they'll probably still win the cup. It's just how I see it. Yeah, team's great. Nothing else to really go on that. They're a good team.
It's a mad one for me, Mets, because I don't obviously I took that big break back in the day. It used to always be Dylan's team were always the number one, always the favourites, and now since I've came back, it looks like it's kind of switched, and it's this Metzler, it's Gonji, it's Benny, that whole little group now seem to be running things as favourites.
I mean, they've got TJ in the team, so there's a weak point.
Yeah. Not every team's perfect.
Exactly.
So let's look at the run-in for each team. So we'll start with Monaco. Monaco have PSG, Bordeaux, Montpellier, and Strasbourg to play. Now, an interesting part of that is that 3 of those teams also have to play Metz as well, that being Bordeaux, Montpellier, and Strasbourg. So those 3 teams could very much play a difference in who on earth wins the league here.
I think if any of those are going to be the ones to take points from Monaco, I've got to say it's Bordeaux because they they have not only topped the Europa League group, but they've impressed a lot of people with their style of football because they're a predominantly French team. I think when you look at Strasbourg and Montpellier, Strasbourg should get massive props for being as high as they are. I think they're a great team, they're a great community team, but it's like looking at like PSG in real life when you look at like Monaco and Metz. I don't like comparing like real life PSG to Monaco and VFL because, like I said, the Champions League stuff, they should have done better in that. They should be embarrassed of how they did in the Champions League. But with Metz and stuff, Metz is just so clear cut above the rest. Like if that was Metz's running, I'd still guarantee them to go 4 for 4. But with Monaco, I don't know. With Monaco, with Monaco, I see them winning 3 and drawing 1, and that 1 I really do think will be Bordeaux. But then again, like I said, you don't know how serious, chilled out, or relaxed Metz are going to be because Metz have won the league title before. Of course, everyone wants to win constantly, but they know like it's not the end of the world if they don't win because, like I said, they're still in the big one. That's the CL.
Metz will still want it. I can tell you now, Metz will still want to do it because they're getting so much shit off their Monaco players in the chats.
Okay, there was apparently a massive spat like last week as well because like in a game that they won, someone from Metz missed a penalty and there was like a massive argument. So I was just like, I mean, they're still competitive as fuck. But I was just like,
yeah, they definitely want to beat this Monaco lot because they're all mates as well. Like they all know each other, so the competitive side's still there, especially this season.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and so like I said, the run-in for Metz is fairly similar. Bordeaux, Montpellier, Strasbourg, and then Ajaccio is their final game, rather than PSG. I mean, can any of these teams take points off Metz, or are we saying no way?
No, I think Metz is a different animal to Monaco.
Yeah.
And not to say that Monaco is a bad team, but Metz, in my opinion, will always be a better team than Monaco. For the pure fact that just look at the Champions League this season. Like I said, like I'm very blunt, and for AC and Diego knows I love him, but like for AC Milan to get into the knockouts over Monaco is a joke. Like Monaco should be fucking very embarrassed of that, like they should be.
But we've had Napoli and Sassuolo just fall off the table. It's Fiorentina and Spal at this point. Fiorentina on 41 points, Spal on 40. But the goal differentials here are astronomical. 41 plus 41 for Fiorentina, plus 42 for Spal. And Fiorentina and Spal do have to play each other on 29th of March. I mean, that's a title-deciding game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I don't know. Like Fiorentina are another team that went so hard in the paint like last season, and they just hate the blue contract rule. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. If people weren't hopping around back in FIFA 15 after they won leagues and stuff, the blue contract rule wouldn't be there. So I think that's why it's a lot tighter. I think when they play, again, I don't know. I don't know how serious Fiorentina are taking it. I don't know how informed they are. I don't know if Danny knows where, like, if he wins the league title, he can still step because he still won it and defended it since he won it last season and he's defending it now. So who knows? You don't really know. They unlike Metz, strike me very much as like less arsed. I don't know if that, like, they're less bothered if they win or lose this season because they just wanted they're only doing this season together because they had to do it by the rule of the blue contract. So
Danny was telling me if they do win the league, he was going to try and get a loyalty switch. I don't know what the rules are on a loyalty switch.
Nah, he couldn't because he's only done 2 seasons.
That's what he said he was going to ask, and I know that's what he was telling me. So yeah, they'll probably disband then if they can. Well, if he can step. What is the crack with that then? So if he steps, the players have got to stay.
Wait, what?
If he steps, you just said he can step down if he defends it.
Yeah.
But the rest of the players have to stay. Is that how it works?
No. If he chooses to step down and chooses to not activate blue contracts, then all the players will go into free agency as well.
I get it. Okay.
All that will mean is that all the players will drop on Monday, and then he'll have to use the golden window and get out. That's all it means.
I'm about 90% certain then that they'll disband if they win it.
Yeah, 100%. They're only doing this season because they had to. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
It's just the law of the land.
Over to Deutschland. The Bundesliga. pretty clear cut at this point. Leverkusen probably have this one wrapped up.
They need 1 point from the last two games, right?
Yeah, they need 1 point. They have.
Oh shit! Fuck me, I didn't even know it was. I thought it was still close. I haven't looked at Bundesliga for a while.
No, it's a 5 point gap.
5 points clear of Darmstadt. They play Ingolstadt for their first game and Darmstadt for their second game, and all they need is to not lose against Ingolstadt, and they're in good shape. They could play Sam Tap and goalkeeper against Darmstadt. So, I mean, the Leverkusen team will get to their Champions League adventures later, but they've impressed some, they've disappointed some, but only one loss on the season sounds pretty good.
I genuinely didn't expect to see them first. I thought they'd be top four, but I had Schalke or Dortmund every day of the week.
No, I think with me, it's like Schalke go through peaks and troughs. Well, I'm pretty sure Santana is now kind of like just doing this season so he can get his loyalty switch as well. Because this is his third, so I think he's just kind of like reserved in the fact to probably go hard the Pokal. Dortmund, it was always going to be difficult because it's Joe's Phoenix team. And there's people in Joe's Phoenix team that are incredibly experienced and have won so much, but then there are also people in there that just have never ever been that close towards a league title before. So there was always going to be not bottles, but like lapses of concentration. There was always going to be something where they get nervous in games, and that will go as seasons go on. Like they'll be closer to a next season if the whole core sticks together like Joe's teams usually do. But with Leverkusen, Leverkusen, I'm not really surprised. So they've got a great kind of spine of the team, and I mean they should be happy with it. They should be happy with it. I think the main thing I'm more interested to see rather than Leverkusen win the league is to see that Dortmund team back in the CL, because that adds another kind of powerhouse to the CL next season, which is great.
Yeah, I mean when you have a attacking combination of Rapids and Sam Tap up top, you're gonna have some sort of success. I mean, they've scored 55 goals on the season, but more importantly, they've only conceded 10.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're absolutely blowing teams out of the water.
Yeah.
But we'll head over to Spain, where things have all of a sudden gotten pretty tight. Bilbao on 40 points, Atletico on 40 points, Celta Vigo on 36 points, and Barcelona, we talked about them earlier. This Barcelona team probably should be doing a little bit better, but they're still in the hunt on 35 points. But goal differential could play a big part here because Bilbao on 54, plus 54, and Atletico Madrid on plus 35. So a big difference between there, even if Madrid went out this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, so it's more Dags' division since he plays there with Valencia, but I didn't really expect Madrid or Bilbao to be up there. Then again, I didn't expect Barca to be up there. Like I said before the stream, before this podcast started, like I warned Dino and I warned Kaz before the start of the season. I said to them very clearly, you better hope you don't lose a game, because as soon as you lose a game, it's just going to go downhill. And then lo and behold, they start the season losing the Spanish Community Shield. They start the Champions League campaign losing or drawing or something like that. So it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. When you are taking in these really, really good technical players from France, Italy, Spain, like the non-British 11s community, they are fantastic at playing football. But as soon as you drop points, especially you get the better ones. If you get the better ones, then as soon as you drop points, as soon as you're out the title race, as soon as you're seen as a loser, the attendance starts to decrease, the urge to leave starts to increase, and then you are playing with 7 or 8 every game rather than 11 because you've got people that just can't be bothered unless they're winning every week. It's no real shock. It's why Kaz got out in the transfer window. It's why I can only imagine Major and Dino are just wanting to end it all. It's just not a shock. It is not a shock. But in terms of Bilbao and Madrid, DS10 versus like unsuitables lot pretty much. If we have to go off of history, I would like Atletico to win it, but I just don't think they will because they've just got such a history within their kind of squad to be runners up, as suitable shown so many times, which is a shame.
Looking at the fixtures, Bilbao won't drop now. They won't drop points now, so it's going to be sorted on goal difference, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, Atletico have still Celta Vigo and Barcelona to play, so that just adds.
They'll beat Celta Vigo. They don't belong there. I can tell you that now. They're not a good side. Like,
shots.
Yeah, they ain't a good side. They're probably a sixth or a seventh, but they don't belong there. They should lose their last 3-4 games, to be fair. Oh, no, they'll win one. I was looking at their fixtures then. But they've got, as you said, Barca. They'll lose to Barca. They'll lose to Atletico. And they'll probably lose to Levante if Levante want to turn up.
Levante are good. Levante are a little underdog side. I like them.
Well, we beat them 7-0, but...
Oh, okay. Never mind then. I just said that because of the Champions League group, because they won the CL group.
I actually, in the prediction thread at the start, I predicted them to finish first, believe it or not. And then we played them in a cup last week, and it was 7-0. And then we played them on the Friday, and it's 3-1. But
well, hey, to be fair, then, if it's a cup game, you never know for availability, because midweek availability. The league game sounds better. League game sounds alright. Especially since you got like all stars up top. 3-1's good. Yeah, you know what? Fuck you, Levante. Up the Levante.
The 3-1 game, they actually should have won, and they had a man sent off in like 3 minutes in.
There you go.
They should have won that game. To be fair,
absolute quality.
Terrible.
They are the best team in Spain. I
don't know how many teams are sticking around next season though, because obviously the Barca lot's fucked off. The Madrid team apparently is switching. Levante,
exactly. I think you'll see an influx in there because people will view it the same way. Like, well, to be fair, you look at no disrespect to Madrid, but Madrid have never been a title challenging team in the 3 seasons they've been there. You know, the highest Madrid have finished ever in Spain is fourth. You know, fourth or second. Yeah. And I think it's second, fourth, and then wherever they finish this season.
Well, so if teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid come available, you'd expect everyone to be going for teams like that.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's the fact that not only is like the level of the club so massive, but everyone will see it as like a wide open league that anyone can kind of go for. People at the end of the season that have the ability to take management will be looking like, well, I mean, you know, the defending champs is only DS10, and DS10 runs the lower tiers constantly. This shouldn't be a challenge. So people will literally dive in there. People will. So, I reckon it will go. It will spice up. But it's just, you know what? I have no sympathy for the Barcelona lot. You are in the position you are in because of your own decisions. You wanted to play that stupid shit fucking garbage football that doesn't work on FIFA 19 because it's FIFA 19. So you bought in absolute idiots that literally can play that kind of football but disappear after one weekend. It's your own fault. You are
I'm
not in the title race because of your own decision making.
They saved me 50 quid anyway.
I was going to say, did anybody ever get that right?
No, pretty much, I think there were 72 people applied. 71 of them or 70 of them put Barcelona in Group 1. So that was them fucked because Barca came bottom, and then the other 2 people had like Bayern Munich and that who were also bottled. So
yeah,
50 quid till next season.
The Champions League was absolutely retarded like this season. I can't believe it.
I think Levante finished top of their group. To be fair,
they did. They finished above of Rochdale
on 1 goal.
Hey, it doesn't matter. First is first, second is second.
No, I'll give them credit. Levante, they're representing the Spanish.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into some Champions League here. We just talked about some bottlers. We mentioned Leverkusen and Monaco earlier. Let's start with Monaco. They went in on 4 points. All they needed to do was not lose. And they lost 1-0 to AC Milan. And they will be playing Europa League knockouts.
Yeah,
every single group except one had a bottler in it. Group A, Barcelona, be ashamed of yourselves. You should have got through. Group B, Leverkusen, I'm sorry, you should have got through. Be ashamed of yourselves. Yeah. Group C, Chelsea, fair enough, the group of death, but still, in this unforeseen circumstance, you are the bottle of Group C. Group D, Roma. Whether it's Mark Dev, Frisky, whoever, it was majority Mark Dev. Mark Dev and the team he built should not be finishing 4th. I'm sorry, it shouldn't be getting 3 straight L's. Group E, Sassuolo should be finishing above Hearts. Sassuolo, let yourself down.
Fuck me, Real Madrid, they finished top in that group.
Group F, Middlesbrough and Celtic should we don't get no. Group G, Wolfsburg and Aston Villa. That's the only group where there's not like a kind of outstanding loser in that. That one I'll allow. And Group H, Monaco and Bayern, what are you doing? Like, literally every single group had a bottler in it except for Group G.
Fuck me.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Leverkusen. I mean,
I tell you what, that Europa League must be stacked. Chelsea.
Oh yeah, I've done the tree for it. You go over and look at it.
I'm
it's
gonna go
nuts.
look now.
Like I think one of the Europa League ties could be like Chelsea versus Bordeaux or something like that. I can't remember.
But no, we talked about Leverkusen. They lost 4-1 to SM Chan. And 2 goals from Bajazil did them in. I mean, the performance from the Champions League compared to their Bundesliga is like night and day. It's like you can't figure out which Leverkusen team you're going to get. Are you going to get the Bundesliga team, or are you going to get the Champions League team? What?
It's the same with SM Chan. When you look at it, I swear SM Chan are like very mid-table in France, and then they've just turned up in the CL.
Like that, 7th.
Yeah, it's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, SM Chan currently 6th. Yeah. Behind that Bordeaux team that we'll get to here eventually. Some of the bigger ties, the one that stands out to me has to be Fiorentina against Schalke, just on paper.
Yeah.
Looks like an absolutely thrilling clash there. Mets probably have maybe a more favorable run-in with Stavrene. Let's see.
So this actual tree, that's legit. It's just there's no draw now.
That follows it. So we I did the draw for like the round of 16, and I did another draw which randomizes the order in which the round of 16 goes in, and then that deciphers the tree. So if anything, it just eliminates the draw and makes it easier by doing 1 draw or 2 draws. So this is the way it goes
Mets
all the way to the end.
will be fancy in that, to the semis. They will be fancy in that.
I think both sides are equal. Both sides of the tree are equal. When you look at the left side, you look at Mets, the defending champs at United, Rochdale. When you look at the right side, you see Liverpool, Fiorentina, Schalke, Napoli. Maybe you could say the right side is a smidge harder than the other, but there's not much in it.
AC Milan obviously took advantage of Monaco's bottling in. Manchester United have to be happy with their draw.
Yeah, fuck me. That's about 10 times easier.
Yeah, they're happy. They're happy with that. But it's a dangerous thing because it's like you have to go into that game, and AC Milan are not, they're not stupid. Like AC Milan know that they are very lucky to be there and know that they'll probably lose that game. But it's just Man United's mentality because they've got to go after playing 2 legs against AC Milan, probably winning on aggregate 8-0, and then they've got to play the winner of Real Rochdale. And that is, immediately a harder game. Like, we've seen situations before where teams underestimate opponents and they go in and they lose in previous Champions Leagues. And we've also seen situations before where teams get so gassed winning a semi-final, then they go into the final against weaker opposition and get blown out. So, I mean, it can happen. There's nothing saying that United win that game 10-0 on aggregate and then end up losing to, say, Real Madrid. And it would not shock me whatsoever. Really wouldn't.
I'll tell you what, Lyon, Hearts, Levante and Napoli, for one of them to be in the semi-final, that's fucking brilliant for them.
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest for, if you had to pick one.
I would say my predictions for that would be Lyon, Napoli, but I reckon Levante, Napoli would go pens. I really do. Well, not pen. Well, I say pens, but I know there's 2 legs now, but I can see it being a draw in both games.
Yeah, what I mean is if any of them 4 were in the other 3 brackets, you'd never fancy them to even have a sniff in the semis. Yeah, so it's a big chance for one of them to even get that far.
But then again, and then I think when you get to the semis, anything can happen in the semis. Like, for example, if the semi-final is Napoli versus, Napoli versus Fiorentina or Napoli versus Liverpool, anything can happen. And we saw it last season, didn't it, with that 120th minute winner from, who was it against? It was against Mets. Who was it?
Roma.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that. It's like you never know. You just never know. You really don't.
Still a soft penalty, in my opinion. Anyway, so we could have a situation here where Manchester United and Rochdale face off in a quarterfinal, which would be probably the biggest quarterfinal. I'm looking around here.
Come on. Fiorentina Liverpool will be just as big, in my opinion.
If I do the stream, I'd be picking Liverpool Fiorentina. Especially they basically played each other last season, didn't they? Obviously under the Barcelona banner.
So are we writing off Schalke? Are we saying Fiorentina goes through against Schalke?
They should deal with them. They should deal with them.
It's difficult because you'd say that, and then it's like, well, you never know what kind of Fiorentina is going to show up. I know Dylan and that love the CL, but at the same time, you can't underestimate Santana and HK and Schalke because they provided upsets for us in the CL before as well. It's an interesting one.
Over 2 legs as well. I just feel like the better teams now will have such a bigger chance.
Yeah, I guess that is one way to look at it. Yes, but you never know. Like I said, nothing's saying Schalke could end up winning the first leg 1-0 and then just absolutely parking. Like
I'm not completely writing them off. I'm just saying if I had to put my money somewhere now, I'd give it to Fiorentina.
It's for me, it's like a 65-35 in favour of Fiorentina, but it is tight.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
So, something new for this season is the 2-legged ties over the knockout stages. Do we see teams maybe change strategies? I mean, obviously it's a little bit different than just simply playing one match and being done, but how do you see some of the smaller teams going about this? Your AC Milans, your Hearts. How are you as a smaller team?
How they get on in the first leg, I'd imagine some teams might mix it up if they come away with a 1-0 win or something. And they might mix it up.
The thing with it is that you have to understand as well with 2 legs, away goals is a real thing now. Like away goals do actually matter. Like who is home and who is away does matter now. So, I mean, it's all a trial and error thing. At the end of the season, we'll round up all the teams that played from the round of 16 onwards, and we'll get their kind of mini, feedback form on them. And if a majority say they love 2 legs, we'll stick with it. If a majority say go back to 1 leg, we'll stick with it. We'll go back to that.
Do you know what? Do you know if this provides a proper PSG Barca moment where they come back and win it? I will shit my keks live on screen. I shit, that would be incredible. That would be absolutely incredible.
It would. So it's only ever. I remember something back in the day before you even knew what VFL was. Back in like FIFA 14, when I was playing with Phil, with Beer Monkey, and that lot at Palace. This is like season 8. This is back in the day when we used to do, for some reason, don't ask me why, we just did. For some reason, we did like 2 legs in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And I shit you not. And you can ask Vegeta, you can ask Phil if you can still even contact him. There was a situation where we played the first leg of the FA Cup, lost 5-0, switched our keeper around, and then won the second leg 5-0, and then went into extra time and won. And I fucking could not believe my eyes. It was just hilarious.
That's what I'd love. That's why I'm a big fan of this 2-leg thing. So there's going to be some incredible. It might not be this season, but eventually there's going to be some incredible ties. And it's going to be brilliant because they'll all be recorded and it'll be there forever.
Well, you even say that, man. Like, there's incredible ties to think about in the semis. Because, I mean, if you're really putting it out there realistically and you look at a semi-final potential of Mets v Rochdale or Mets v United, that's got to be over 2 legs. Like, you really never know. Like, there's nothing saying that Mets could win 2-0 and then you've seen United last season just pulling it out of nowhere could come back and win the second leg 3-0. You just don't know.
I honestly can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, I just want a moment of madness where the comeback's on, like the 3-0 down, and then they get that early goal, and it's like, fuck me, here we go.
Yeah. The biggest difficulty of it all is just going to be telling people about away goals, because I can seriously see people like, for example, United, well not United Milan, but let's have for example a team like Mets and then a team that's stupid. Now, I'm not saying Hearts are stupid, but let's let the most inexperienced. Like, okay, Mets win the first game 2-1, but then Hearts win the second game, let's say randomly 1-0, and Hearts were away first game. Then you've got to tell Hearts like, well, actually you've won because you've just gone through on away goals. So it's it's just going to be that kind of difficulty of just making sure everyone is on point and knowing it, and we're just going to have to batter it into them as of Monday and be like, remember, away goals is a thing. Remember, if after the second leg, it's this and this, then I don't know what we're going to do. And this is the thing. It's like, if after the second leg it's a draw, what are you going to make the teams do? You're going to play golden goal? You're going to have them fucking wait all the way until penalties? Or are you going to say, well, if it's a draw in the 90th minute of the second game, then quickly score an own goal to take it to extra time and then play extra time? Like, how are you going to, decipher and get to penalties? Because I still want to have penalties in 2 legs as well. That's the other thing I want to do.
So, yes.
I genuinely didn't even think about that.
Are you going to void away goals? Like, there's so many different things still that we have to yet to decide on.
Yeah, so just as clarification, I know you just said you have a few things to decide. So for anyone curious, if a match is, let's say, let's take Mets and Renee, for example. Mets win their home leg 3-1. Renee do the same in their home leg. So it's 4-4 in aggregate. Both have one away goal to them. Obviously the game won't process that is a draw and to continue.
That's the thing. I mean, do you, what do you say to them? Do you say, well, if it's in the 90th minute, just fuck extra time off and score a couple of own goals to get it to extra time, or do you say, okay, then a third game of golden goal? Like, do you eliminate penalties now? That's the thing. So I mean, with the two leg system, you have pros and cons. It's like you have the pros of there's 2 legs, so there's more stats and there's more chance of these numbers. But then the cons are, you potentially lose out on extra time and penalties now. Like, that's the other thing. So we have to wait and see. We need to have a discussion about that on the weekend. There's still time to kind of sit there and make a clear judgment call, since the games aren't for another week and a bit. So we'll come to some sort of understanding on it, I think. But we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
All right. Well, gentlemen, any final thoughts about the closing weekend of the season 37 of the league?
No, none from me. Just best of luck to everyone and don't choke.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Nothing to say now, is there?
All right. Well, fellas, thank you very much. And for everybody listening, thank you very much for listening to the... We need to come up with a name for this. Can we come up with a name on the spot?
Fucking... I don't know. Any sounds that they'll do.
The meme.
Fucking no.
The daily meme. The weekly meme.
What is it actually called? Are we genuinely just on this? There's no name.
It's just literally called the VFL podcast at this point, I think. Or the VFL News podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do that. It's fucking simple, isn't it?
All right.
Well, the weekly meme.
All right. Well, since we couldn't figure out a name, thank you for listening to the VFL News podcast.
AKA the weekly meme.
We'll be trying to run this more regularly. As
weekly. For the meme.
As it died at the end of season 35 and has now been resurrected. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. See you next week.